Hello and welcome to helpyourmath.com. In this video, we are going to identify the location of a point given its coordinates in the coordinate plane. So first we have this point 0, 0. Where is this in the coordinate plane? Well, this point is right where the x-axis meets the y-axis, and we would say that the location of this point would be called the origin. So if it's asking for the location and we're given the point 0, 0, that would be the origin. How about this one? We have 0, -2. So 0 is our x-coordinate, and it's telling us don't go left or right. And -2 says, okay, well, from the x-axis, go down 2 units. So it would be right here, and really anything that's along this line here, any point that's on that line, would be located on the y-axis. So we would say the location of this point is the y-axis. This point here, we have 4.82, 0. Don't get thrown off by the decimal, it's okay. The 4.82 just says go 4.82 units to the right of the origin. 4.82, that 82 would be a little bit closer to 5 than it would be 4. Probably not going to be super accurate there. And the 0 says don't go up or down. So the location of this point or any point on this would be the x-axis. And we could even get a little bit more detailed if we wanted. This would be specifically on the positive x-axis, and then any points that had a negative would be on the negative x-axis, but just saying the x-axis is perfectly fine. All right, this point we have some fractions, but that's okay. We're going to get through this. 3 and 4/7. 3 and 4/7 is just a little bigger than 3.5 on the x. The y, -1 and 8/31. That's like -1 1/4, so it's, maybe right here. And so this point, it's not necessarily important where that we get this point exactly right, but what is important is the quadrant that it's in. And it's in this quadrant here where it's below the positive x-axis and to the right of the y-axis, indicating we have a positive x value and a negative y value. And this would be quadrant 4. So the location of this point is quadrant 4, and any point with these characteristics, a positive x and a negative y, will be in quadrant 4. When we're naming our quadrants, we generally do use Roman numerals, so 4 would be IV or 1 before 5. Okay, what about this? So this time we're not actually given a point, but it tells us that there is a point that the x-coordinate is positive and the y-coordinate is positive. So where would we see? So here's where x-coordinates are positive, and here's where y-coordinates are positive. So all the points in here, any point that's within here, we call that quadrant 1. So if there's any point where both x and y are positive, its location is quadrant 1. Another way we could be given the information, this one says that x is less than 0. This just means that x is negative. X is negative. And then it also says that y is less than 0, which means y is negative. So where is x negative and y negative in the coordinate plane? Here's our negative x, and here's our negative y. So it would be any point here where we have a negative x and a negative y. This is quadrant 3. We would call this quadrant 3. Okay, and back to just a point. So this time we have a negative x-coordinate. It's just bigger than -1/2. So it's going to be like, right around here. And then 5.5, we would go up here. 5.5. So it would be right about here. This shows us that we have a negative x and a positive y. Negative x and positive y. The points that lie in this over here lie in quadrant 2. So we would call this quadrant 2. So let's summarize what we know. If the coordinates are both 0, the point lies on the origin, right? And there's only one point that lies on the origin. It has to be given by 0, 0. If the x-coordinate is 0 and the y-coordinate is not, so the y-coordinate is anything but 0, then we would say that that point lies on the y-axis. And that would be given by 0 here for x and some value here that's not equal to 0. We could get more detailed than that. We could say the positive y-axis if b is positive, the negative y-axis if b is negative, but we don't have to do that. If the y-coordinate is 0 and the x-coordinate is something else, then we would say that the point lies on the x-axis. And so that would be a, 0, any point that's something comma 0, where a does not equal 0, that would be on the x-axis. If both the x and y coordinates are positive, then the point lies in quadrant 1. So if we see positive and positive, that's quadrant 1. If the x coordinate is negative and the y coordinate is positive, then the point lies in quadrant 2. So that would be negative x positive y is quadrant 2. If both the x and y coordinates are negative, then the point lies in quadrant 3. So that would be negative and negative. And then lastly, if the x coordinate is positive and the y coordinate is negative, then the point lies in quadrant 4, which would look like this. And then we can see this gorgeous graph I drew here. So we have the origin right here. We have the y-axis right here and the x-axis here. In quadrant 1, we have positive x and positive y. Quadrant 2, we have negative x and positive y. Quadrant 3, we have negative x and negative y. In quadrant 4, we have positive x and negative y. Those are the locations that we can use to identify any ordered pair based on the signs or whether it's 0 or not. Thank you for stopping by.